Hello and welcome back to the Men's Room, Conspiracy Theories Part 2. In last week's episode we discussed giants, Princess Diana, Dilatov Pass and the moon landings. This week we're going to hear some more podcast... I'm trying to record my podcast.
You're the one who fucked that up.
You fucking burped and said got it in.
He said that, I didn't say that.
I didn't do anything.
It's recorded, you Oh, right, okay.
Should not have got the beers out, that was a mistake.
Okay.
Third time lucky?
Yes.
We got this. We got
it. Come on, Greg.
Hello and welcome back to the Men's Room, Conspiracy Theories Part 2. In last week's episode we discussed giants, Princess Diana, the Dilatov Pass incident and the moon landings. And this week we're back with some more.
Cannot wait.
How are we both doing, gents?
Pretty good. Been
Decent,
a great
yeah.
week. So
It's a late night recording.
It is, it's a late
Make it
night
even more
recording.
spookier.
Men's Room after dark.
After dark. same
And here is
amount
my
of swearing.
piece.
Right, okay, so let's get straight into it, I think. Zach, with your conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy
Yes.
number...
This one's pretty recent.
Okay.
It's the Malaysian Airlines plane missing.
Very contemporary and very, I imagine, possibly quite a spooky one.
Very, very scary. I was watching a few documentaries on it last night.
There's a lot of mystery about this one. I like this theory.
Anyways,
I went
so...
on my first flight the week after it happened. So,
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
wow.
that would have been mad. As I said, it was recent, so it was about March 8th, 2014. So it was flight 370. It was en route from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, like to Beijing, which is like a very ordinary flight.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
like here
Standard.
to like it's about 5 hours, 5.5 hours.
Okay.
You could even say unremarkable.
Yeah, around 4 to 5 hours, and like the flight was like if it ran out of petrol, it would have taken about 7.5 hours to do that.
Right.
So it had 239 people on board, and it was to Beijing. Just 38 minutes into the flight, MH370 lost contact with Malaysia Airlines. Investigators thought the most likely location for the jet was in the Indian Ocean after analysing information from the British satellite telecommunications company Inmarsat. That's really smart because they thought they'd lost satellite like 3 hours before. But this Inmarsat in I think it's in England, British satellite company. It picked up a signal from their engine for the last like 4 hours of the flight.
Right.
Which is like ridiculous.
Right,
It was like
okay.
they wasn't meant to check the location.
Just by chance.
It's just
By
to show
chance,
just to show the engine's working.
Right.
Yeah.
But then they can be able to pinpoint the coordinates.
Oh wow. Okay.
Which is mad. Anyways,
Be an interesting point to jump back to, I'm sure.
so the map of where it went is weird. So it went on its normal journey,
Yeah.
turned left. It made a mini turn and went over the pilot's hometown.
Really.
Turned left again and went south for 5 hours straight.
So it went off its flight path.
Well off.
So, but do they not report? So they track planes, and you have to be really strict.
Let's just say if this was America, a fighter jet would have been on that in half an hour.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was because it was in Malaysia.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
But obviously it's been quite meticulously tracked, but you think they would be like, oh, by the way,
yeah.
we're going off course.
The Inmarsat
Is
thing
everything,
was
is everything all right up there?
Yeah, the Inmarsat
Yeah.
thing was like 2 days after it went missing.
Right.
So they thought it just went off. So it went off of.
They assumed it sort of landed fine. Like, wouldn't have even been like
No.
the thing they would have responded to.
Yeah.
Did they not? They didn't put out a distress call or anything.
I think they did when it went out of military radars.
But not while it was doing all of that.
No, because it went off of their radars. So it went off of their radars because they had to go off their radars anyway because they were going into another country's.
Yeah, so
Airspace.
it would
Okay.
be detected anyway
Yeah.
once they got to a certain
Okay,
point in the journey.
right.
Yeah.
So it was in unmarked sort of territory.
Kind
while
of.
this happened?
Apparently, there's like a theory that the plane was dodging and like weaving in and out of the two countries, so it would always lose transmission.
Wow.
Well, that kind of makes sense.
The pilot's hometown thing is weird.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a really kooky little detail.
Yeah.
and
carry on.
the fact that I think they've ruled out the fact it could be a passenger hijack.
Right.
They think it was someone in the crew that did it.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah,
So they. Okay, carry on.
and I think there was another theory where that's the pilot, by the way,
Okay.
where they just
Some autography feature.
Decompress
pressed
the cabin.
the cabin.
Yeah.
So they all died. That's why it went in a straight line for 5.5 hours and crashed. but no one could
Wow.
ever find anything. They did the most expensive search ever.
They found wreckage.
Yeah,
They found
I
a.
thought it got shot down in Ukraine or something.
That
That
was
was
a different
another
one.
Malaysia
Oh,
Airlines.
that was similar
flight.
time.
Wait, has that happened to more than one Malaysian
Yeah,
Airlines?
it was
flight?
in
the space of like
Don't
couple of-
don't
Yeah.
fly with Malaysia Airlines if that's one thing to take from this
No, yeah.
story.
in the
Jeez.
in the space of about a couple of months that happened. Yeah, both of them. And
So I know one got
Shot down.
definitively got shot down
Yeah.
over Ukraine.
they never really got punished for that. Really,
It was
the
in the
Russians.
middle of a war. It's kind of awkward. But I think they're not. I don't think they were certain who actually shot it down.
It was Russia. They admitted
it was
to
Russia.
Yeah, they apologised, but
Sorry,
yeah, basically.
didn't mean it. Right.
I've heard a lot of things about was it MH45,
MH370.
Yeah, I
MH370.
think there was one that was like 43 or something.
Yeah.
Because that was one that got shot down.
So
I got them
this,
two mixed up as well. It's
Yeah,
really easy
because I
to.
thought it only happened
Yeah.
to one. Like,
No.
both, yeah. So what I've heard about this one is that this flight went missing, and then I remember watching a conspiracy video on it, and an identical copy of that plane was found in an Iranian aircraft hangar.
What? Really?
Yeah, identical, same serial number and everything.
So it was that plane.
Well, identical. There was speculation of maybe it was like painted over, or maybe it was a hoax or stuff like that. But people thought that that plane had been hijacked, landed, and was going to be used for a false flag attack somewhere. That didn't
It's all
happen.
got a bit Alex Jones suddenly.
That didn't
Got
happen.
Infowars.
Yeah,
No.
that didn't happen. But I remember hearing that theory. But I remember the last couple of years since it happened, there's been various bits of wreckage found. But the one thing that's never been found is the black box.
No.
Is that
Which
it? And
which would say everything.
yeah,
The
exactly.
black box is the recording of everything.
And it survives
that's-
no matter what.
yeah.
It's made to be indestructible.
Yeah, they're pretty
That's
much
the-
designed for that.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the most suspicious thing because that's never been
that
found.
should, in theory, bop up somewhere.
Well, you'd think.
Yeah.
You'd think.
You'd think.
But they have found wreckage, which means it definitely crashed.
Yeah.
That's
They've-
the, or
they've
yeah,
found
that's
bits
yeah,
of
yeah.
debris, but they don't really know.
And
Well,
Like
Well,
obviously
and-
something caused it to crash, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they found, you know, I can't explain it because I'm not like an aviation expert, but like the flap
don't put yourself
wing,
down
the
like
wing, the wing flap
yeah.
that was down, which means that it wasn't
Landing.
it wasn't a head-on collision. It means
That
that
was landing. So
it
failed
landed.
It landed, or like
So
a failed
the
landing?
pilot. This
Yeah.
is the main theory.
Okay.
The
someone
pilot
in theory tried to.
the pilot wanted to commit suicide and commit mass murder,
Right.
and wanted to go as far away as he could.
Yeah.
And he was there till the end, and control landed it into the water.
Wow.
And to
the
create
theory is he
as
literally
little
just smashed
fragments
into
as
the sea.
possible.
Because I've seen Google image searches of actual planes perfectly.
Yeah.
They outline other planes.
Yeah.
So that sort of supports that.
And if it was of decompressed air in the cabin,
Yeah.
and they would have all passed out, it would have run out of fuel and nosedived. And
Really?
Created a billion pieces.
Wow.
So if
So
if he would have controlled landed it, it would have been less pieces.
So there could be, if that theory is true, then that plane would be more or less intact at the bottom
in
of
a
the ocean.
random place in the sea.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's insane. That's
But
terrifying. to
It
think.
freaks me out the idea that it could just disappear.
It makes the
like-
black box harder to find because it's not in pieces.
Yeah, exactly. Of course.
It's still right
you
in the
know,
plane.
like, you get that. You know, there's like those apps where you can track people's
Yeah.
flights.
Yeah.
Mate, I don't know if this is just me, but my parents, whenever they go on a flight, they're like, "Oh, here's my flight number, so you
Yeah,
can track
I've
it."
done
It's like,
that, yeah.
I don't care. But
Yeah.
thanks for telling
Yeah.
me anyway.
Yeah.
It's like we can, but like, what happens if you're like, it's a freaky image, but imagine you're tracking one of your loved ones in that plane, and it just disappears. How fucking freaky is that?
Well,
Like,
that
and in theory, that
technology-
must have happened to whoever was tracking this, because this is 2014. That technology
Yeah.
existed.
Well,
Yeah.
I imagine our technology of tracking each other's planes is vastly
Massively inferior.
inferior
compared
to
like,
what
the
they
military
know.
have.
So if they lost the fucking thing,
Yeah.
he's done a. Not,
If
I don't
military
want, I don't
lost
want to
the
say
thing.
fair play to him, but fair play to
Yeah.
him.
So you don't want to say you've done a good job, but in theory, like,
Fuck me, he's a sick, twisted.
But
it-
he was the most
sounds-
experienced flyer on
Where?
Malaysia Airlines. He racked over like
Does he have a history of?
no, he racked over like 87,000 hours.
But does he have
Flight
like a
hours.
history of depression or?
No.
yeah, it's like what actually triggered if he did it
Yeah.
in theory.
But I just
'cause
saw something
who
on
fucking-
Google. Like this was like a day ago news,
Yeah.
so it's still big news.
No, of course.
It's one
yeah.
of those things where I don't want to make this sound like a poor choice of words, but if something were to surface from that incident, you would naturally be like, "Fuck!" Like it would be weird. It would be like if Amelia Earhart, another famous
Yeah.
sort of missing flight, if part of her plane rocked up, you'd be like, "Fucking what?" Even years later, if it points to the mystery being unsolved,
Yeah.
like it's gonna be
Okay, what was it you found, Zach?
So this is 2 days ago, so it's pretty recent.
Right.
Pilot in toilet when plane depressurized before crash.
So does the toilet not depressurize?
Oh, maybe it was like Final Destination. He got his guts like sucked out of the vacuum toilet. That's what took him out.
The missing MH370 pilot likely fell victim to a deadly bout of hypoxia whilst he was out of the cockpit on a possible toilet break.
But there's always a second pilot.
But if it's decompressurized, then that pilot's he's dead. He's out of commission. So if he goes, I'm just going to go for a piss, walks out, decompressurizes, other pilot's dead. He's having a waz. Doesn't realise.
No, but surely the toilet isn't immune to the depressurizing.
Oh no, but if it's just is it just the cabin that would?
Yeah,
because obviously they're separate. So if the cabin were to, but the toilet's outside.
But this expert believes the Boeing 777, so it wasn't a 747. I think it was like a bigger version of that.
Right.
I don't know what a 777 is.
No, I've got no idea.
I'm not sure what the difference is.
So this one was depressurised around the time it lost contact 38 minutes into the flight due to an electrical failure.
But then
it sounds like
how the fuck can it change direction and
but then it
fly south for
you get
5
people
hours?
I've heard of it before because one of my dad's exes, she was like cabin crew. There's been times where planes get struck by lightning, an engine goes out, shit like that.
Yeah.
Powers get cut out. They just can keep flying on it.
Does electrical fault?
Can happen.
Does electrical fault mean that communication breaks down or the flight breaks down? Is it not?
I imagine with that one, it could just be a brief electrical fault that would knock the radio out.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be something.
But it says
they
that
would realise
radio.
the radio's gone, but they wouldn't be able to. They would be able to fly without the radio.
But
I suspect
they turned the tracking device off, or the signal device off manually, and they could tell that.
No
so
way.
they switched off themselves.
Yeah.
What?
They switched the box
weird.
off in the cockpit manually. That didn't give some sort of signal to them.
It sounds to me like the pilot just wanted to disappear completely
forever, and never be found.
Yeah, that's fucking freaky. But it's I can't imagine because I don't want to sort of try and assess the situation because obviously I don't know. Maybe this pilot did have. I don't want to say I want to empathise with him because maybe he did want to go down and take a shitload of people with him, or maybe
because it's happened.
Yeah,
it was the guy in the Alps. He flew the plane right into the mountain, didn't he?
That was the co-pilot, wasn't it? When the pilot went to the toilet.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, he was the co-pilot.
But yeah, no, it's.
But you get situations where it could be that, or
Yeah.
maybe he did have some problem and it
Got to his head, yeah.
Got to his head, or maybe some genuine accident happened. Because if the radio's out, they can't go. We've got a problem. So and so things happened. We need help. Like, there's no way of telling you. But it's scary how reliant you are on that radio.
Yeah.
You're reliant so much on that because
then
maybe that's why he was flying erratically.
Yeah.
To try and be like, fuck, we've got a problem. If I maybe do this, they'll think it's weird and maybe investigate.
Maybe though, turning it off manually was...
Maybe it was an IT moment off and on again, trying to actually...
Well, no,
it sounds dumb, but maybe.
My thinking is more so that there was a fault, electronical fault, and he thought turning that off, as shit as it is to lose contact, maybe that will help relieve the pressure on the electricity or something.
Even sounds stupid, but even what I'm saying, maybe switching it off...
Fully.
Okay, the power's gone down. If I switch it off, switch it back on, we can sort of gauge the power's back, and then we can get contact again.
Well, you panic, you try anything. You know what I mean?
If you're in a panic situation on a fucking plane,
you're gonna try.
You're gonna wanna.
That might be worth giving it a go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like.
Okay, that's interesting. So Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, what do you think went down?
I think the pilot wanted to commit mass murder.
Okay.
And get away from anything as far as possible.
So you think he wanted to go down and take a bunch of people with him?
Yeah.
Okay, Adam, what do you...
Or the co-pilot.
Yeah. Adam, what do you think?
I'm not sure what happened. I would say whatever it was, the pilot was the person who should have been sort of able to prevent the situation or control it. And in either capacity, whether or not they did it intentionally or unintentionally, it comes down to the pilot.
Yeah. I would say... I don't know. The thing that I didn't know was that he turned it off manually, and then the wings were found.
It's those funky little details.
The wing
flaps were down.
Were there, so that makes.
How did they know that?
Well, they theorised it because.
Oh right.
Obviously, they didn't know it was definitely down.
Why there wasn't any debris. because that slowed down the drag force, so it didn't go.
Yeah.
And apparently there were a lot of
Drag-force
typhoons after
Typhoons
in the Indian Ocean.
So like, if it was there, it would get destroyed.
That's why
essentially.
the fucking wing was over there, and another thing was over there. But when they find that black box, that'll be
it would be
groundbreaking.
It will.
Almost the perfect cover up.
For
like
what?
you've got nature literally covering up the
exactly.
incident.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't.
That black box is somewhere in this world.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing, isn't it?
Shit like that is freaky.
It is
It's like
definitely in this world.
That stuff is out there, you know, and like
Their bodies are fucking out there.
Yeah.
Which is mad.
Yeah.
That's the thing you can't. You have to remember in this is that these are real people, really,
and families that have been affected by
really
it.
died, and it's just it's the awful element of it.
How can you lose a plane in 2014?
Yeah.
I'm for me, I'm inconclusive on it. I don't know what.
It's such a mystery, isn't it?
Don't know.
It's
what
so
happened.
open ended as a conspiracy. It's such a bizarre one
Because of how recent it is.
It's so recent.
It's
There's
still
not been
ongoing.
enough time.
Yeah,
like,
it's still ongoing. Exact 5 years.
yeah,
of what
someone
it
is obviously still going to be. I mean, we're digging into it now, but there's going to be people who are going to be investigating. And the saddest thing is, you've got these families who have been affected, who haven't got closure. Obviously, they know.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's.
I mean, they don't even know. Oh, did my relative? Because you're going to think it. Did my relative die in a crash?
Yeah.
Did they fucking drown? Did something happen to them
No,
before it went
Did
down?
they know? Were they
What
in
happened?
pain? Yeah.
Yeah,
all of
it's
Just
this.
imagine
awful.
being on that flight.
Because at its
Just
core,
imagine what
it's-
the
What?
fuck
Well, you don't know what
happened?
happened. You don't know.
But they were.
It's
What were they doing in the 5 hours?
Yeah.
For
It's
flying
a
fucking
fucking
south.
get
for
my
it's
head
five
a
around
fucking
compelling
hours.
mystery, but at its core, it's a
really
it's a disaster,
heartbreaking story.
and it's such a mess.
Awful. It's absolutely awful.
Adam, your second conspiracy theory, please.
My second conspiracy
deep.
theory, it concerns a chap called D.B Cooper
Okay.
and his mysterious identity.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if you, Zach, you've heard of D.B Cooper.
Yeah.
I will now tell you.
I've
about-
heard the name.
D.B Cooper is
You're going to recognise this, I reckon.
He's a fascinating individual. So D.B Cooper, it's the name given to a man who hijacked a Boeing 727
What do you mean, name given to a man?
because no one's really sure what his real name was.
You'll understand.
They know that the name he gave was I'm Dan Cooper.
Okay.
The DB element, it sort of got muddled over time.
Okay.
But the idea is this guy in November 1971,
Okay.
he hijacked a Boeing 727 that was going between Portland and Washington. I think
Okay.
it was a fairly small flight.
Yeah, yeah.
And he held it up for $200,000, which is something like, I think it's equivalent to like 1.2 million now.
So he was a passenger on this plane.
Yeah, he was a passenger on this plane.
And held it up. Okay.
Yeah, the whole way he did it it's kind of funny. Like, because the idea of being is what happened was he was on this flight. He had this suitcase. He was dressed up in a suit and everything, and he gave this note to this lady on the flight, like to one of the ladies. Sort of gave her this note. So she's like, okay, thanks. And then the note says, like, she just sort of walks off, not paying much attention. Goes, excuse me, miss, I have a bomb. Yeah,
Read that note. Yeah.
like, she puts the note in her pocket and he's like, whoa, 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 I've got a bomb. So everyone's like, the fuck? And he opens his suitcase, there's fucking sticks of dynamite and shit in there. It looks, for all intents and purposes, like a bomb. No one knows if it was a bomb. And I'll explain why in a minute.
Okay.
But he opens his fucking thing, here's a fucking bomb, there's wires and shit. He slams it down. The note's like, I want $200,000, I want 2 parachutes. On knapsack was money. I don't want it traced. I want it all in $20 bills, or I'll do the job. I'll blow up the fucking plane. But it's so bizarre because he was, like, I think he even offered to buy, because like they landed to refuel so he could get the money.
Okay.
They sort of stopped halfway. He got all the money. Yeah, and he even offered to pay for the lunch of all like the people on the plane. Fucking weird.
He's being nice to the people on the plane.
Yeah, the whole scenario is really bizarre.
So hang on, wait,
This
backtrack a
could
little
be
bit.
bollocks, mate.
No, this genuinely happened.
Just backtrack a little bit. So he gives her the note. He says that he's got a bomb, and then they do land.
He reveals what bomb he's got.
Yeah, they do land, and they give him the
Yeah,
money.
the note's got all of his negotiation on it. I
Yeah.
want $200,000 in 20. I think it was in $20 notes.
Okay.
Don't want them traced.
Parachutes
That's
as
it.
well.
Yeah, I want to be dropped off. Like, he doesn't ask for a specific route, but he's like, I want you to drop me off like over Mexico.
Okay.
So like, then the Americans can't track him straight away. It gives him time. Like, he wants them to go to this sort of region, And it's like, I want all the money in a knapsack. I want 2 parachutes, like just in case, spare parachute. It says all this stuff, or I will blow up the plane, I'll do the job. And that's literally what the note says, I'll do the job. Which, to me, sounds fucking cool. Like, if I'm going to threaten someone, I'm going to do the job. It sounds fucking spooky.
Yeah.
But he says that. So they refuel, they get all the cash in this fucking knapsack for him. He, like, sort of offers to get everyone, like, a fucking drink. That's it. He's also drinking bourbon and soda the whole time. Like, he's fucking chilled as fuck about this. He's there now with his fucking bourbon. Yeah. I don't think he's doing it because he's nervous. He just likes bourbon.
A one-man operation.
Yeah, this is all one dude. And then he does all of this. He's got all of his fucking money in his bags. And he just hops out the plane and no one knows what happens to him.
Ever.
Disappears. No one knows.
And they carry on the normal route.
Well, like, obviously, like, they're going on this new directed route.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to go here.
Yeah.
He whips off his clip-on tie, which sort of undermines him a bit. He's not quite James Bond. Yeets his tie off the side, grabs his bags, puts his parachute on with his knapsack, hops out the plane. No one knows what happened to him.
Imagine the atmosphere in that plane after he jumped out.
Is there a film about this?
I don't actually think there is. There is a film called D.B Cooper versus Bigfoot, which is terrible. It's an awful B movie, but if you watch Red Letter Media, they do a video about it. But
is that like once
the idea being is what happens once he lands? In theory, he fights Bigfoot, but it's kind of like it's also weirdly like a softcore gay porno. It's weird. It's really weird. I've not seen the film, but it's anyway.
Yeah. Because that would be a really fucking good film if you found the right actor for that.
Yeah, it's a really compelling story.
Yeah, I've never.
No one knows what happened to him. The only evidence they have found was, like, 10 years later in the 80s, they find a bag wedged in a tree full of $20 notes that are traced from the flight. But no one knows what happened to him. And a bunch of the suspects who were involved got shot and killed, and people claim they were D.B Cooper. There was one guy on his deathbed who was like, I'm Dan Cooper.
Yeah.
And there was like another guy who said, I've got a secret, and then he died before he told it. And people were, maybe he was D.B Cooper.
So he didn't make off with the money?
Well, he got... It wasn't all of the money. It was like, it was about 20,000 in this bag. But it was the notes that were traced, essentially. But no one knows what happened to him.
Crikey.
There's a lot of theories about what happened to him. Obviously, there's quite a dumb one. He got killed by Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But no one knows what happened once he lands.
Okay. So what's the conspiracy here?
The conspiracy is that he is Tommy Wiseau.
I see where this is going.
This sounds really stupid.
I see where this is going.
Allow me to explain, because to anyone...
Do you see where this is going?
Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't know who Tommy Wiseau is, he's this quite... If we're being kind, he's quite a bizarre chap.
Very mysterious.
He made a film called The Room. No one really knows where he's from originally. No one can really tell how old he is. Mm-hmm. And this is another thing with D.B Cooper, is that the suspect age varies massively. Some people think he was like on fucking spring break, and then other people think he was like this hardened 50-year-old criminal. No one really knows.
Wow.
Tommy Wiseau has got this quite bizarre accent that isn't quite from anywhere in particular.
Eastern European sort of American.
Possibly. He's got this very interesting look.
Yeah. He claims that he's a vampire as well.
There's a lot of weird stuff about him.
Yeah.
One of the ones is that he funded The Room with money that he gained from selling fur coats to North Korea.
Yeah.
That's a thing. It's really weird. But
because he put on, The Room was his own production, and he settled that.
There is an alternate and quite bizarre theory that Tommy Wiseau is actually D.B Cooper, and the theory being is that D.B Cooper landed, had extensive facial surgery, because Tommy Wiseau is an unusual looking chap.
Yeah.
He's got very defined facial features, a big sort of chin, defined cheekbones.
Long black
hair. Because D.B Cooper,
yeah.
the pictures of him look nothing like Tommy Wiseau. But
so there's pictures of him.
There's a drawing of him.
Okay.
There is an evidence picture. He doesn't look anything like him, and this is where my view of the conspiracy gets a little bit questionable. I haven't got the picture on my phone, which is annoying, but he doesn't look anything like Tommy Wiseau. But the theory is that he landed, disguises himself, in theory, has extensive surgery to become...
That?
Yeah.
Okay, that picture.
The idea being is that he has extensive surgery, grows out his hair, starts putting on this kooky accent to cover who he is,
right,
and poses as some random guy, and then perhaps indulges in his wanted career as an actor,
Yeah.
in theory.
Okay.
Because I mean, there's a few points that back it. There's a clear theatricality to the way that he takes his plane down.
Mm-hmm. There's the fact that no one really knows where Tommy Wiseau got his money from, which is the thing.
No one knows where Tommy Wiseau got his money. No one knows where Tommy Wiseau's from, and no one really knows how old Tommy Wiseau is. Now, this is the only thing where I think it's unlikely, is that the guy who obviously was D.B Cooper was clearly an adult in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
It's the big thing where you go, well, Tommy Wiseau's clearly not like, 50, 60 years old when he's making the room. He looks about, it's hard to decipher, but he doesn't look over 40.
No.
So the evidence to it is quite weak. But there's a lot of theories as to what happened to Dan Cooper, which I think are really interesting. But it's just the fact that a lot of that money never turned up. The fact that some of the money ended up getting wedged in like a tree and just turned up. I think it was either in a tree or it was like fucking downriver, roughly from where he jumped. There's a theory that maybe he just fucking planted. Maybe he bumped into Pablo Escobar.
Maybe at some point.
Got mauled by a bear.
Yeah.
No one knows what happened to D.B Cooper, and that's always been the compelling thing. It's still an open case. Remember rightly. Or it's not, I don't think it's as, like, it's not being actively investigated, but if he were to be found, they would still go for him.
Yeah.
And this happened in 1971. So this is, like, several decades. And no one knows what happened to this dude. We don't know if he fucking got out of there, absolutely nailed it, set up a new life in fucking Argentina or some shit.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe
Probably.
he did. He could have. Or he just fucking lands straight on a pine tree and dies immediately.
Yeah.
Or he becomes Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah.
I do doubt the Tommy Wiseau thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of stupid. But...
So I've got a few things about Tommy Wiseau that I've just found. We do know when he was born. October 3rd, 1955, which would have made him 17 in 71.
Ooh.
Is that right? 60s? Yeah.
Yeah. No, that in theory could work, because there was a theory
Spring
that...
break.
there was someone who they thought was like a university student who supposedly might have done it. But
he was born in Poznan, Poland.
I mean, the age thing doesn't rule
him out.
But who's to say with that money he didn't buy a fake birth certificate?
And then he says...
I'm not from there, I'm from Poland.
He says
like,
that
he covers him up.
He became a naturalised US citizen in 1985.
Again, can cover himself up.
Yeah.
I don't think the Tommy Wiseau thing's compelling, if I'm honest.
I think
Tommy Wiseau is a
fun.
compelling individual.
Yes.
But I don't think he robbed the plane.
No.
Like, he could barely handle himself in the room.
How did they get the money to him? Did they have money on the plane, or did they have to...
They had to land.
Yeah, that's what
money.
Get money from...
Just like a bank
the
or
government.
something. Yeah.
But they had the right to have that money.
Well, they didn't have a choice where he'd blow the fucking plane up.
So you alluded... So was it a bomb that he had?
No one knows, because
he took it with
him.
Wow.
So no one knows if this bomb was live or active, or if it wasn't just some fucking red candles with some wire string across it.
That's incredible.
It's entirely possible that he just went on that plane without a real bomb
and made 200k
and made all of this money. Like, the whole setup of it, it's amazing how well he gets away with it up until he jumps, because there is a huge possibility that he just fucking yeeted himself onto a tree and popped like a bag of quavers on the roof.
They would have found the body.
They would have been
But
traces.
would they have found his body? Because he was dropping over somewhere that might have been a huge amount of woodland.
When did they find the bag?
Like 10
okay.
or 12 years later.
So it could have been eaten or
his body could have been eaten, he could have been decomposed, he could have been at the bottom of a fucking lake.
Yeah,
he might have landed straight in the water, and he was jumping in circumstances I would call unideal. It was cold, it was night time.
He might have fucked it, the bag flew off, and he panicked.
Yeah, he might. I like this image of him being like, yeah, fucking drinking my bourbon, jumps out of the plane, all of his money, just like, fuck, oh no, my money, and then just...
But the police would have searched that area.
The thing is, they don't know where he would have landed. It's that thing of where people jump out of planes at night.
Remember, this is
1971.
Yeah.
So the exact coordinates, they would have probably had them, but the radius he could have landed in from this altitude that he was jumping from is fucking huge.
Yeah.
But no one knows. There's such a lot that's up in the air, should we say, about it. We don't know if he was an experienced jumper. He might have been he could have been a fucking paratrooper from like Vietnam, Second World War, something like that. Because it would be within that range. And we don't know how old he was.
Yeah.
He could have been again, he could have been like fucking 19 years old or something.
Yeah.
Never jumped out of a plane in his life.
Yeah.
Or
He could be a skilled paratrooper who's like 40 odd and was like fucking, I don't know, he was involved in D-Day or something.
Yeah.
This guy, his whole backstory is
up in the air.
Up in the air. But no one knows what happened to him. And it's so compelling because they didn't even find all of his money.
Yeah.
They found some of it.
Yeah. Amazing.
Imagine they find his passport.
Or
Or if they just find him. Is there any way he's still alive? Yeah.
Because there was another theory that he might have worked for Boeing because like he would know how the plane was, and because there was something on the clip-on tie that I mentioned.
Yeah.
There was like certain metals that would only be on him if he was like working at Boeing, like literally working in the factories, because the metal wouldn't be there otherwise.
Yeah.
So there's a theory that he might have been someone who was like, oh, fucking hard to rob one of these planes now. If I don't go in there, do this, set a bomb. If I had to set a bomb here, I could take the whole thing out. I could do that.
Yeah.
But I find it so compelling because obviously it's so mysterious.
Yeah.
Like what happened to him? He could have landed and got fucking eaten by that massive white crocodile from Red Dead Redemption 2.
I think
Who knows?
I think he's long overdue a film.
He is.
Surely.
Really?
I think they should get.
They could drag it out to at least an hour and a half.
I'll show you a picture because I know.
Like us with these podcasts.
I know exactly who.
They could like create a backstory for him and like do the whole like leading up to it, and
they
then
could even do it. They could do it like he addresses the audience, being like, "I'm going to do this now."
That would be quite fun.
And then it all ends as he jumps out of the plane.
Yeah.
So he sort of breaks down his plan because they can sort of assess what his plan was.
Yeah.
But no one knows if his bomb was real or whatever. There's such a lot you can imagine. But you know, I think they should get to play it. If they were to set it, if they could have done this dream casting, should have got fucking Rowan Atkinson. Get fucking Mr. Bean to play him.
He does look like that.
He looks a little bit like Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah.
And that's the point as well. Midway through the flight, he put on some sunglasses. But like, he didn't start with the sunglasses. He just put them on later.
Right.
That's crazy, though, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
So what do you think happened to him?
I got no idea, and I quite like that. I'm quite happy not knowing.
Quite mysterious.
I reckon he must have died. Because he would have just taken the money out of the tree.
No, not unless like...
Unless if he dropped that halfway up in the air and he just couldn't get it back. Because if he drops it 20,000 feet up, that could end up 20,000 feet in any direction.
Yeah.
That could just end up anywhere. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he's Tommy Wiseau, but I'm curious what you guys... So you think he died?
But after you say that...
You think he splattered in the ground and...
I reckon either he did that,
got eaten
or
by
he
some
just
coyotes.
went back to America and just started a new life.
Disappeared.
Yeah.
Because, like, no paper trail. No one knows who he is. Dan Cooper might not even be his real name.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating.
It's interesting, yeah.
It's one of my favourite conspiracies.
Okay, my third and final conspiracy theory is the royal family are aliens.
Oh, this links really nicely back to the whole Diana thing.
It does. I was trying to keep quiet earlier on because it sort of links. Okay, so the theory goes that during World War II, the Windsor family, the original royals, were killed in an air raid. So they're in their bomb shelter and it got hit. They were all killed. An alien spacecraft, which had been hovering over Earth since the death of Queen Victoria, took this opportunity to infiltrate and assume their identities via shapeshifting.
I have so many questions already.
Now. Prince Philip is the leader and he is an alien reptile, as the theory goes. That's
Not a brilliant driver.
That's not me speaking. It alleges that his fascination in UFOs isn't just a hobby. He subscribes...
It's a fetish.
He subscribes to many...
It's like being a train spotter.
Yeah.
He subscribes to many alien magazines and allegedly visits UFO crash sites, not just out of interest, but to pick up vital messages, and I thought this was quite touching, to pick up vital messages and to check up on his old extraterrestrial friends.
No, that's quite funny.
He fears exposure and as such follows up every reported UFO lead personally to ensure that no information about his true identity can be revealed.
Make him sound like Darth Vader.
Right. That was a separate report, and then I googled. This was quite interesting. Okay, if you type in Prince Philip, you get loads of things. If you type in Prince Philip alien, nothing like in that recommended thing comes up. And anything you search, hear me out. Anything you search, there's always a suggested load of things, isn't there? Like, if you type in conspiracy theory moon, you get moon landings fake, real, truth, proof.
Yeah.
If you type in Prince Philip alien, it will only give you your thing and no recommended searches. As well as that, if you type in Prince Philip reptile, again you get nothing. No, this is honestly. No, I'm not saying like that.
It's
I'm
quite
saying
fitting
like
that they cast Doctor Who.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
See what I mean? So Zach has just tried it, and it doesn't come up with Prince Philip alien conspiracy, cover up, proof, truth, evidence, fake, anything like that.
That's so dumb.
This is the first newspaper clip that I found, and it's as recent as November 2018. Prince Philip personally congratulates a military pilot who claimed he chased a UFO out of Britain, according to the veteran involved some 40 years ago. Major Charles A. Giller, he says that his jet got a call from London Air Traffic Control about an aircraft that had failed to identify itself near Stonehenge. However, when George got there to inspect the, quote, floating cruise ship, it darted from the scene. In quote, so this is his words.
So is this what Philip said?
No.
Then?
This is Major George saying, he added, apparently Prince Philip thought it was very important and invited us to dinner. He knew all about the fact we had chased the UFO and made me a believer in it since. When someone of his stature indicates they are real and from another planet, it is very convincing. Second news story.
It's not like he went, oh, it was Snorkelfax, he's such a prick, I knew him back home. No, it's not like he fucking...
Either way, it adds credence to what I was saying earlier.
Yeah,
about
no,
him
they're people
describing.
of importance. You know, you've got an army major, Air Force major rather, saying that it happened and that, you know, he had this conversation. It's not like just some fucking random, I'm a binman, I saw a UFO.
But it happened 40 years ago. He thanked him for it and invited him to dinner. It's weird. It's weird.
Wait, so did he invite him to dinner 40 years ago, or was this
recent, when he was just started talking about it. So this is years and years after. He just started this, George Giller just said about it, and then Prince Philip congratulated him and invited him to dinner.
Right, okay.
Because imagine, over dinner, you can talk about, so what was it like? What did you say? What kind of things? You know what I mean? It's a little bit, it adds credence. Second piece that I found. So this is about Prince Charles rather than Prince Philip this time.
So the idea is that he's some sort of alien offspring, I suppose.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. This is like the royal family. This is their bloodline, which I'll get to in a minute. So Lady Gaga meets Prince Charles at the Royal Variety performance in London for the Queen's 90th birthday. She was criticised heavily in the press for failing to observe royal etiquette in the presence of the heir to the throne. It has, however, now been revealed that Lady Gaga avoided Prince Charles after he shapeshifted during a brief introduction. Let me finish.
What?
Let me finish. So she says, Prince Charles was 8 foot tall, with yellow eyes that flickered, and a scaly skin the colour of an iguana.
Carry on. So, describe him like he turned to a giant Kermit the Frog.
The Prince of Wales shapeshifted between this state and human form, quote, 2 or 3 times after introducing himself to her. She claims she also saw him shapeshift in the audience while she performed her song A Million Reasons. She says, his face in the crowd flashed between human and reptile. I could see his reptile teeth glistening in the light from the other side of the room. Lady Gaga told staff and close associates that she believes he shapeshifted after their introduction and during her performance as a show of strength and a warning not to mess with the dominant reptilian Illuminati bloodline of which he is High Priest. Now, going back to what you were saying about Diana, potentially Diana was killed because she was going to reveal the secrets. David Icke, you heard that name?
Ex-England goalie.
Yeah, Coventry, footballer. He believes that there is a reptilian bloodline which explains everyone. So this goes beyond the royal family, essentially. But the royal family, it's known that they have Rh negative blood type, which everyone sort of, David Icke theorises this is an alien hybrid race, this bloodline, because it's
normal people have that bloodline.
Some, but it's rare. But the majority of the royal family have that. Well, majority, all of them have this bloodline.
Right.
And that explains
like the rarest bloodline you could have.
I don't know about the rarest.
It's a
very unusual one. So that explains a lot of the inbreeding within the royal family. Historically, that has been to keep that bloodline as pure as possible and keep it contained. There is a lot of ancient texts, including the Bible, which recall reptiles interbreeding with humans. In Hebrew, snake means two-legged, standing upright, humanoid reptile. You alright?
That seems like bullshit.
What?
That seems like such wank.
I mean, my sources.
That's so oddly specific. This snake translates to Steve, the two-legged alien who's fucking 8 foot tall and has a moustache.
Two-legged, standing upright, humanoid reptile. That's from my sources.
That's such wank. That's so not true.
Right.
David Icke has
Fucking
pulled
funny.
that straight out of his arsehole.
David Icke claims that.
Two-legged standing upright humanoid reptile.
Why would it be so
That's your new
specific?
Facebook name. David Icke theorises that a trait that this bloodline and these reptiles have is an obsession with rituals. And he says that if you look at the coronations, if you look at Buckingham Palace, the guards, the horses, the weddings, the colours, it's all very... What you're looking at is reptile ritual.
What the fuck, man?
Oh, so dumb.
Look.
They're obsessed with rituals. They're the royal family. The royal family are built on rituals, and they have been for about 1,000 years.
Because they're reptiles, mate. I mean, okay, I've researched it, so don't
Don't knock the research.
don't knock the research, right? If you
I'm
don't
not-
like the facts, then
I'm not
don't shoot the
knocking the
messenger.
researcher, but I am going to knock the whole thing.
So you don't think that the royal family are reptile aliens?
I think they're
No,
fucking
I don't.
but I don't think they're aliens or reptiles.
I think
Or
that
humanoid lizards.
Humanoid upright
It's
standing.
really-
David Icke looks like a lizard.
Yeah, that's the irony.
fuck's sake.
I love that.
it's reading into a lot of shit that is like the whole. They're inbred because they're aliens. No, they're inbred just because it's fucking weird.
They're weird.
Traditionalist. They're inbred because it was before they realised that inbreeding was actually quite bad. Pretty much every royal culture that's ever existed has had this problem. Tutankhamun was fucking inbred. That's why he was like 19 and was fucking crippled and shit. There was a lot of it that went on.
Yeah.
It's like that's the they do traditions. They're the royal family.
They do
Yeah,
lizard
they're-
traditions
they're
in
built on-
Norwich.
they-
They do lizard traditions in Norwich then.
What do you mean?
They're all inbred.
Oh,
We're not saying that all inbred people
no,
are
but,
lizards.
but the idea of the royals do these things because they're aliens. That's so dumb. Like the royal family has always functioned on tradition because
Yeah, because they're reptiles.
Your
it's
story
just-
is dumb.
because like if
It's not mine. I'm
No,
just
no,
the messenger.
If you were to go back to like olden times, and you're like, I want to be king of England, and you don't do any of the traditions, they're going to go, well, you didn't do this thing or that thing. It's just a continuation of that. It's tradition. So like, if you don't have your marriage in whatever abbey or do this over here or that over there, now it looks archaic. But back then, you needed to do that, or
Yeah.
you weren't properly king because you hadn't done this or that. That's what that shit is. It's just tradition. If the royals were just like, we're basically just the Kardashians, it would be fucking weird. You'd be
Yeah.
like, why aren't you doing this thing or having your big wedding in the cathedral or doing whatever? Or
Do you
would
not-
find that unusual.
Do you not think that the Prince Philip being so obsessed with aliens and UFOs and things is interesting? It's an
It
interesting
could just be
take.
a hobby.
He's
Yeah,
he's
of
an old
course.
dude.
He's an old
obs-
man.
He's
Yeah.
an old
He's gotta
guy
be
who's
mental.
obsessed with war and strategy. Like he's renowned for it. He needs something to keep him entertained.
I quite enjoyed this theory, looking it up.
You've been a bit shut down.
I have, yeah.
You've been fucked.
All right, what's
You
your...
wait for my one, mate, because
Great.
your one's going to sound pretty believable.
Really?
This is called the hollow Earth theory. According to some, it cannot be doubted that the Earth is in fact hollow, and there are people living inside, including descendants of survivors from the Atlantis culture. Those who adhere to this theory would have it that secret entrances are strategically placed around
Fuck,
the Earth.
mate. Did you just break that?
Do you want to try that again with syllables?
I had a malfunction.
Hollow Zach. Nothing fucking in that head.
Not much anymore, mate, not to be honest.
Go on.
Those who adhere to this theory would have it that secret entrances are strategically placed around the Earth,
Right, where?
from which flying saucers emerge at regular intervals.
Right. Where?
Yeah, where are
That's
these
just-
secret entrances?
We don't know, do we? We've
Oh,
only
right.
got in
Oh,
there.
because they wouldn't be secret
Yeah.
otherwise. Okay. But UFO...
True, but like if they know they emerge at regular intervals, they must sort of see them. Oh look, that's come from Swindon. That
So...
one.
Yeah,
Like you feel like
yeah.
you'd know.
Okay, carry on.
In the middle of the hollow Earth, there is supposedly a central sun, smaller than our own sun, but large enough to give light and warmth.
Okay.
This would explain the northern lights in evidence near the poles, said to be the sites of two secret entrances positioned where the Earth's crust is thinnest.
Okay, cool. Right, so that's where two of the exits are.
Okay.
The
They
southern
could be the
and
only
northern
ones.
pole.
There's one at the top, one at the bottom. Fair enough.
And that, yeah, okay, because the northern lights, that's the reflection of the sun going through the exit, I suppose. Then.
So are they sort of asserting that when it opens, the northern lights just kind of like
Seeps out.
plop out?
Yeah, a little bit. Okay, that's
kind of cool. It's kind of cool. It's kind of stupid, but it's kind of cool.
The central sun illuminating this inside world conjures up images of a tropical paradise, possibly the setting for the story of the Garden of Eden.
Okay.
Humanity, it would seem, originated on the inside of the earth and then moved to the outside.
Wouldn't there be recollection of that actually happening? Wouldn't there be like...
You think that culture would very much be like, we came from the
Yeah.
rocks. Actually, no, you say that. The Aztecs, they thought that we came from that, but they had plausible reason to, because all the water that they had in the jungles came from submerged like pools of water, which came from the meteor that killed the dinosaurs. Because I'm a nerd. Anyway, carry on.
There are numerous variations on the theory proposed above. Some would say that flying saucers do indeed come from within the earth, but they are not the vessels of descendants of Atlantis, or even the proof of alien life, but rather they come from secret bases built by the Nazis, who discovered an entrance into this world
Maybe that's where Hitler is.
just before the collapse of the Third Reich.
Interesting.
Oh, no, that leads to a whole other thing. What if Hitler didn't kill himself in the
That's
fucking
what I'm saying,
underbunker?
mate.
He fucking went, he just popped.
Mate,
Oh, God.
mate, apparently they are still hiding there and are waiting for an opportune moment to relaunch their campaign against the outer earth, having exterminated all the inner inhabitants who did not conform to their Aryan ideal.
Wow.
Aryan ideal.
Wow.
Underground Aryans. That sounds like a rock band. But anyway,
Blimey.
holy,
That's
fucking
creepy as fuck.
That's
Imagine
terrifying.
you just sort of you're mining as a kid, just like, oh, that's a scotcha on the other side of the wall. Hans,
What the fuck is that?
You're just like,
Yeah.
What if
can I hear Nazis on the ground?
Yeah.
what if the war going on in the centre of the earth? What if earthquakes
Yeah.
happen, hurricanes, tsunamis happen because of the conflict going on? So
Oh, no.
inside.
What if it's the Nazis and they're trying to build like environmental weapons? And they're like, fuck it, we'll kill a few of them if we send up a fucking tornado.
Yeah. Like, they've had
Who's
earthquakes.
to say they couldn't?
That's crazy.
Or it might just be bullshit.
Yeah. This is interesting.
Probably bullshit.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie, but
Okay, carry on.
it's nice to think about. Others would have it that the inside of the earth is inhabited, but the inhabitants are not physical in nature, so our normal earthly matter is no barrier to them. Or that the inhabitants are in fact four-dimensional beings.
Like a
Four-dimensional
Rubik's
beings.
Cube, but more.
The extra dimension being incomprehensible, but meaning that they are only able to communicate telepathically with us.
I mean,
This is blowing my fucking mind.
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of vibing with the underground Nazis. But mate, that sounds like a fucking metal band. But anyway,
That's
I'm
That is
not
mad,
sure if I
isn't
believe
it?
in the whole 4D spooky shit, because that seems like a huge leap.
4D is like incomprehensible, isn't it? Like you can't even think of what that would be
Another dimension would be like.
yeah.
in like a world.
No, yeah.
Because we're in 3D, so imagine.
Telepathically.
Like Jim Carrey's Christmas Carol, we're in 3D.
Yeah,
So they're telepathically communicating with us. That's what it says.
from the inner
Or
world.
they would be able to. This has gone into a whole other thing. This is literally the rabbit hole.
Or that there
So
are
to speak,
underground
knowledge.
cities. Here we go. Or that there are underground cities, but they were not built by any advanced human civilization, but rather by alien beings from other planets that use the center of the Earth as a base. Or even that the Earth is hollow, but that we are living on the inside without realising it. The real laws of physics could be completely different from what we believe.
Wow.
There's a lot to unpack there.
We could be in the... That is weird.
I mean,
Without even realising. No, we can't be, because we just fly up in this space.
and yeah, we can
No.
go to space.
Yeah, we're not.
So
Yeah.
that's-
We're not in the hollow
No,
Earth. They
no.
are
That's
allegedly.
But how would they... What would happen when they create planes and just go up and up? Or rockets when they go up and up and up?
Well, they do it. Well, that maybe
I
explains.
mean, the Earth's pretty fucking deep, so
Yeah.
That explains.
there's room. You could probably get a little. Oh, D.B Cooper could be down there
Yeah.
in that missing plane.
Yeah.
You could all be down there. Oh, I'm linking them all.
Lincoln Hall, Diana
Some
as
kind of
well.
like
Fucking Diana.
men's room universe. Like
Yeah,
HCU.
the men's room cinematic universe.
But maybe we have a solar system as a whole on the inside of the
Starting to
Earth.
sound like Brian Cox.
I don't think.
There's a whole solar system.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you're getting confused with them saying that we're in the.
No, it says that.
Yeah.
It says
Really?
that, mate.
But
But how the fuck?
who was the reputable author who wrote this book?
Look,
He's just a real key.
or even that the Earth is hollow, but that we are living on the inside without realising it. The real laws of physics could be completely different from what we believe.
Oh, holy fuck! Okay, I get you. Right. Yeah. So we could be on the inside, and the solar system and everything like that is inside as well.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And the proper outside of the world is something
massive,
completely different.
Yeah. Christ. That's sorry. There's not a lot to say there because that's actually left me a bit speechless.
There's
That's an interesting. That's an interesting theory, isn't it?
It just makes, I know this sounds depressing, but it makes like life itself
Seem a bit pointless.
fucking shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. The most pressing question of all is how we could enter this hidden world, and that remains a mystery. Rumour would have it that the Earth is shaped like a giant donut, with 2 holes at the Earth, at each pole providing an entrance into the inner lands.
I've heard this theory, and it's total bollocks.
Other,
I must say.
That's it. It's shaped like a giant. Wait, it's shaped like a giant donut.
I take a lot.
Oh my god! Are we
take-
on the fucking ring from Halo?
I take a lot of conspiracy theories, but I listen to a lot of them and I give them a lot of time. But I will not accept that we're living on a fucking donut. Don't buy that at all.
You
With
do
2
not buy
holes.
that.
Others would say that the only entrance is through old tunnels, caves, and potholes. Be loads of fucking Clacton then.
But enough about
Clacton's the fucking epicenter.
But enough about your mum.
Right. Stop doing that.
Sorry.
Quack.
Evidence would also support the possibility of other hidden entrances to the inner realm.
Inner rim.
Inner
Minecraft.
realm.
Minecraft realms.
With enough lube.
Why have we drunk?
We're not. I'm not.
I'm not drunk. You're the only
No,
one
why
who's
have
drunk.
we drunk?
Why have we drunk? I don't know. I need another one. Actually.
I need
I need another one.
Yeah, I'll grab me one.
Evidence would also support the possibility of other hidden entrances to the inner realm in Area 51
Oh.
Ooh.
and other mysterious regions of the world.
Okay.
Mate,
So.
that's why no one's allowed in it.
As someone who's uncovered many mysterious entrances in my time, anything's possible.
Right.
Well, that's one we have to keep in.
Okay.
That is cretinous. That is cretinous.
That's gonna be. Oh, I've already got the title. That would be the next fucking title.
What?
That was cretinous.
Is that
The
even a
men's
word?
room. The men's room.
Is that
Episode
even a word?
14. It is now. By the time dictionary.
Cretinous. However, what seems most likely of all is that any entrance to the centre of the Earth will have been hidden from view with the use of advanced technology that would prevent detection at all, as otherwise a giant hole would not stay secret for very long.
Okay.
That's what she said.
So, oh, fuck me. You know those sinkholes that open up in like Mexico
Yeah.
and places like that? What if those are like accidental?
What if
Rifts.
the fracking companies are trying to find an entrance and that's
Yeah.
really what's going on?
Mm.
Yeah.
Probably bullshit, but hey ho.
It's
Yeah.
interesting.
It is weird, isn't it?
Yeah, compelling. I like that theory.
It's a fun idea, but I feel like it's entirely in the realm of fantasy. Ultimately,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
like it's complete bollocks. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, I think we all agreed in the final decision for this one.
Yeah, it's a bit.
It's a little bit of a dopey one.
It's a
Yeah.
stretch. It's interesting to listen to, but it's a
It's
stretch.
a fun idea that there might be some subterranean stuff going on, i.e. like people hiding out underground. The idea of Hitler hiding underground is kind of cool.
Yeah, but
That's a really good
The
conspiracy
title of
theory.
Downfall being Das Untergang might be a clue. That was a film about Hitler, which obviously is just a German word for downfall, but like the bunker that he was in. But
Yeah.
maybe it was a clue. There's a gang underground and they're all Nazis.
I would say that it's all cool to hear about it, but there's nothing actually conclusive to say this is actually.
It's
Not
not-
really.
it's not
There's
one
like
we've-
little.
bits, but
There's
it's,
no
it's
substantial evidence
tenuous.
that can't be disproved by something else.
It's tenuous at best. Yeah, for
It's
sure.
The Earth's flat, but it's not hollow.
no.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Okay, Adam.
My
your
final
theory.
conspiracy is quite an interesting one. I got sent down what you might call a bit of a rabbit hole. I'm just gonna quickly.
We saved the
crack-
best till last.
I think it's sort of like, I feel like most of my theories have been a little bit more grounded in some sort of plausibility. And this one's quite a fun one. Well, I say fun. Thousands of people died, but it's this,
fun.
The thing that sent me down, we got sent in by someone about the Titanic, and it was like, oh, the Titanic wasn't the one that sunk; it was its sister ship, the Olympic. That's not what I looked into, because I looked up Titanic theories and I found another one that I found quite compelling.
So you found this here on accident, almost?
I found this on Wikipedia. This is a theory that the Titanic was sunk on purpose to eliminate opposition to create the Federal Reserve Bank in the US. Because there was some hugely wealthy people on the Titanic. You've seen the Titanic.
It was a groundbreaking
fucking
thing.
Leo DiCaprio was on it.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got some rich motherfuckers on this boat. But the idea was that J.P. Morgan, who's a really famous, he was like a sort of financier.
Yeah, it's the bank, isn't it, J.P. Morgan?
He set up the bank.
Yeah.
The idea being is that he wanted to establish this U.S. central bank. So he's going to not establish a bank out of social embarrassment. He was just going to establish a fucking bank! So, like, he was ready to set this bank up. But there were people who were opposed to him. Among them was a guy called John Jacob Astor the Fourth, Benjamin Guggenheim, and Isidor Strauss.
Cut me up, mate.
So you got Herb Strauss is on the fucking boat,
right?
And you got various other people who were.
What the fuck has happened?
The whole thing was you've got.
This has gone to rat shit.
Let's give
Zach's dying.
I'm gonna give Zach a little moment.
Zach's
so you can get over my silly voices.
That is so funny.
Right.
So there's a bunch of characters on this boat. So you've got John Jacob Astor, but
these are real people. They're not characters.
There was a guy called Benjamin Guggenheim.
Do we need the accent?
I like doing that because it distinguishes them in my mind. And Isidor Strauss.
Right.
Who were all massively opposed to this idea of there being a US central bank.
Okay.
They're all opposed to it.
And they just happened to be on the Titanic.
And they're all on the Titanic because loads of rich people were going to America on the Titanic.
Yeah.
And guess what happened to all three of those people? They got dead.
Okay.
They got a proper bad case of the cold dead disease in the water. They did not survive. The idea being is that the boat was intentionally sunk to eliminate all the people who were opposed to a US central bank.
Oh.
It's quite an interesting one because, like, the boat was kind of built quite badly.
It was built to fail, yeah.
It was like the big thing of it is the rivets that we used on the boat were made out of fucking stuff that erodes in the water. It's really stupid.
And the life jacket thing.
There wasn't enough lifeboats.
Nowhere near
considering the size of the ship.
The underground compartments, the bottom of it, the walls didn't go all the way to the top. They left a little gap, and that's why it sunk so easily.
But was that good at the time though? Did they have that knowledge to do that to ships at the time?
No.
The thing is, if it was just built, it would have been done to save money.
Yeah, they did them up to a height and then left about like a.
So they advertised the best, but this is the best thing in boating history.
You might think it's weird that this fucking J.P. Morgan guy. Where you're like, well, what's his involvement with the Titanic? He owned something called the International Mercantile Marine, which owned the White Star Line, which was basically the company that owned the Titanic.
Yeah.
So by extension, he owned the Titanic.
Fuck.
Like, because he owned the subsidiaries who owned all the companies. So he could easily be like, oh, if we get all my pals on here, and we fucking sink it, then I dispose of all my opposition. Doesn't look fishy on him. It's a disaster. Oh no, they died.
Iceberg. Yeah.
Like, because this fucking J.P. Morgan had a personal deck on the Titanic for him. And he was meant to be booked in for the maiden voyage, but he was like, cancelling it.
Wow.
Kind of convenient. There's a lot of things that you could sort of discredit it with, but like, this guy was super powerful. They used to call him the Napoleon of Wall Street, which isn't just because he was short. He helped create the General Electric, US Steel, the International Harvester, these huge sort of industrial organisations in the US. And was credited with almost single-handedly saving the US banking system during the Panic of 1907. This guy was fucking Mr. Big Sausage.
The dog's bollocks.
He was the bee's knees.
Yeah.
So the idea being is that he intentionally got all these people who he knew this boat was going to sink. It was like, just get on my boat. It's great. Have fun. Oh no, they all died. What a disaster. US bank.
It is crazy.
He survived.
He didn't get on the boat.
He didn't get on it at the last minute. He didn't want to.
He had like a whole deck built with to the level of like there were cigar holders specifically designed for him. Meticulous. It was literally built with him in mind. And then by a whole coincidence, it fucking sank.
It is crazy to think that on its maiden voyage it sank.
That means its first trip, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It sank.
That is pretty mental when you come to think of it like that. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't make a few trips and then shit happened. It was on the first go-round.
Yeah, the theory
How does it explain that it crashed into an iceberg, though?
that it was sort of done intentionally. And
So they saw...
So they
An
saw an
opportunity.
The idea
iceberg
being that
and
maybe another boat came by, like, oh, it's fucking
Oh, okay.
ice over here. But, like, a lot of that can be disproved. But there's also a theory that the boat was actually designed to basically rip itself in half. Which seems like bullshit to me. But
How far into its journey did it get?
I think it was in the Atlantic when it sank.
and it was cold,
Yeah.
very cold.
But I mean, like, I don't know if obviously you've flown over the US. I've flown over the US. You see it. There's ice sheets.
Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah, there's ice sheets if you fly over.
Shit.
Like from the UK, you can see there's big old fucking chunks of ice in the water.
Okay, so they were counting on it either eroding on its journey or
they were
hitting...
counting on some sort of. There might have been some other foul play that you had in mind.
Oh.
But conveniently, it was sort of designed to crash in theory.
So that's why they made it so cheaply in the walls and didn't go up to the top because they didn't want to sink.
This guy in theory was kind of funding it.
They didn't want to sink too much money in it.
But he had all of these individuals who were absolutely against this idea of a US central bank, and like pretty much as soon as it happens, he sets it up. Like pretty quickly. There's another theory that the Titanic was also set up as like an insurance fraud. So all the people who sort of invested in it, oh no, get all money back.
Cool. That wouldn't be like out of the realms of possibility.
No, because I think because I sort of discredited it immediately, being like, oh, that's just bullshit. You know, it was a disaster. Someone's capitalized on this idea, but then you see how maniacal people who are powerful and rich have been. Just to get at maybe 2 or 3 people, they go above and beyond the sort of roll call. Who's to say this fucking nutcase wasn't like, I'm going to build this boat and it's intentionally going to sink just so I can kill all these people.
And get a fuck ton of money.
It seems like he may have gone a little bit further than he needed to. Because there's going to have a lot of blood on his conscience. Because a lot of other people died on that ship. And the thing is, he was taking a huge risk. Because if anyone was going to get on those boats and get off safely, it would be rich people. And these guys were fucking rich. It would
Did
be
any of the rich people get off?
Yeah, I mean, like...
How many life...
there was... I think there was only, like, fucking, like, 12 lifeboats on the whole ship anyway. But pretty much everyone who was rich got prioritised. So they got off first. If you've seen the Titanic...
No, I've not seen it.
I've
seen scenes.
If you've seen any documentary on the Titanic, generally the rich people get away first and then all the poor people die. Like...
How many survived?
I don't know off the top of my head. Not many.
No, it wasn't many.
2/3 died.
Yeah.
Shit.
2/3.
But the theory being is that this Mr. Morgan had the boat intentionally sort of sunk. The idea being is that it would remove his opposition. But bear in mind, this was the early 20th century. There was a lot of organised crime in the 1910s and 1920s. If you wanted to get rid of someone, just shoot them.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like he's gone a little bit...
That's why I might think it might have been an accident.
I think it was probably bullshit, and by a happy coincidence, some of the people who he didn't...
Yeah.
Who weren't favourable to his plan happened to die on this incident. For all we know, he might have cancelled it because he had another business meeting. This guy was fucking rich.
Yeah.
He might have been the Emperor from Star Wars and be like, yes, I've got a plan. But it could have just been, today it's not convenient that I get on this fucking boat, so I'm not going to bother.
I have another theory here about the Titanic. In that...
Kraken sunk it.
No. The trips to the wreckage and a more thorough examination of the shattered hull gave rise to a previously unthought theory about the ship's demise. The Germans, in fact, sunk the Titanic with a torpedo. Story goes that the German government distrusted the English and set to prove them wrong when they proclaimed the ship was, quote, unsinkable. The U-boat from Germany glided quietly out into the North Atlantic and crept on the luxury liner. It was simply good fortune and coincidence that the ship happened to pass next to an iceberg. Realising that this would mask their crime, the Germans torpedoed the same side of the ship. The resulting damage sunk the Titanic and its passengers. The U-boat slipped silently away and let the iceberg have the glory.
So what about the people that survived? They must have said
Well, they wouldn't have seen
torpedo
it.
hit it.
Well, no, U-boat.
Well, because they saw it. Yeah, it's a submarine.
Oh,
That's kind of cool.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Hmm.
Not impossible.
That's weird.
It makes Kaiser Wilhelm sound like a very bitchy motherfucker. Oh, so the boat's unthinkable. Well, fuck that.
We'll see about that, won't
We
we?
will see about that.
This is pre-World War One as well.
Hans, bring me my torpedoes.
Yeah.
We're going to prove those fuckers over in the UK that they're fucking wrong. All right?
Interesting. So, Zach, do you think
Do you think that JP
J.P. Morgan sunk the Titanic?
no. I think it was an accident.
Hmm.
Or a very shit-built ship.
I think, yeah,
Or
I think...
awfully built ship mixed with an accident.
Yeah.
Because they just thought they'd save money.
Yeah.
Because they...
I think it was, if I'm honest, I think it did just sink. It was a genuine disaster through a lack of planning and poor craftsmanship that just so conveniently happened to help out this Mr. Morgan feller
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
do what he wanted to do with the bank.
definitely.
It's
I think...
convenient. He did not have a plan. So
Because what I've seen about the Titanic is that there are a lot of... I put it down to, like, human error. It's an interesting one about J.P. Morgan. I was going to say J.P. Cooper then. Combining the two. Elusive, yeah. No, I don't think... I think it is just human error. I think it is a mistake. I think there's a lot of...
I agree with you.
Poor planning, poor shipbuilding.
I think it's an attempt to rationalise a huge number of human deaths.
Yeah, exactly.
Try and go, oh, it happened because of a reason, rather than just a series of mistakes led to
Definitely.
a huge tragedy.
Relating back to Malaysian Airlines, that flight...
A U-boat did it.
No.
Iceberg did it.
No. Titanic took fucking years
70.
to find.
70 years.
70 years to find.
That's a big old boat.
Yeah. That was 1912. 100 years.
Yeah.
Over 100 years
True,
ago.
to be fair. But
So-
it still took...
I know what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
No, yeah, so Malaysia
Like,
Airlines
Who
might
knows
take...
how long that will take?
Yeah.
It might take 40 years, judging by our
Yeah,
technology
exactly.
now. Yeah, no, yeah, you're completely right.
Because some people think he went... if it was a controlled man, and like the theory suggests, he wouldn't have landed in the area they thought he landed. He would have
Right.
gone an extra 130 miles.
Okay.
So
And
they've
good
been looking
potent-
in the
and
wrong
with a
fucking
plane,
space the
you
whole
can
time.
glide pretty far without an engine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're looking in
He's
a
at a right
completely
altitude.
wrong fucking place.
So maybe in 40 years or 30 years'
Yeah.
time when they move over to that area,
Yeah.
they might
If
find
he
it.
focused his fuel more on keeping an altitude,
Yeah.
wait for all the fuel to burn out, and then
Yeah.
slow glide, he could have ended up fucking anywhere.
Interesting. So that concludes our 3 conspiracy theories. Hope you have enjoyed them. We do have some suggestions, of course. Some of them, I think, they were quite compelling. I think
I'm quite compelled.
we do need to go into a part 3 and a 4, maybe at some point. A couple of quick ones. Bermuda Triangle was brought up. Someone suggested that.
Bermuda Triangle's always a fun one.
It is, but it's very easy
A lot
to
of
do.
mystery.
It is, but
Not many facts.
it's very easy to debunk.
There's a lot of hypotheticals.
It's an easy one to debunk. So Cole Kruselnicki has insisted that the reason why so many ships and planes vanish without a trace in the area between Bermuda, Florida, and Puerto Rico is nothing to do with aliens or fire crystals from the lost city of Atlantis. Instead, the high number of disappearances is explained by nothing more than human error plus bad weather and the fact that lots of planes and ships enter that area. So the Bermuda Triangle, it's very easy to think of it as quite a small
It's
area.
fucking huge.
It's
like
270,000 square miles, and it is a particularly busy part of the sea.
I feel like
So planes go through it every day without question.
Planes,
Millions,
boats,
thousands, yeah.
Because I thought it was just some remote part of the
Yeah.
sea, and then I googled
And then
it, and I was
every
like,
plane
it's
that
like
went-
next
yeah.
to Puerto Rico. I was
It's,
like,
so it's very close to the equator, and very near a wealthy part of the world, America. So there's a lot of traffic. When you compare the number of disappearances to the large quantity of ships and planes passing through that area, there's nothing out of the ordinary compared to other areas in the world.
no.
Oh, that's such a fucking media documentary scam, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because there are so many documentaries on this, and it's just all bullshit.
He said that
It's a conspiracy because they don't want people to visit Puerto Rico or some shit. So it's like to keep people away.
according to Lloyd's of London and the US Coast Guard, the number of planes that go missing in the Bermuda Triangle is the same as anywhere in the world on a percentage basis.
Yeah, no, that's
So-
You created a triangle
Such a huge
anyway.
area.
If you created a triangle in the sea
A quadrant
anyway,
or quiet triangle, yeah, you get the same.
If you sort of based out that area and just plonked it anywhere in the ocean,
Yeah.
it's gonna look a bit weird.
Yeah.
Like
So
there's going to be
apology.
a certain number of boats and planes disappearing.
So apologies to have suggested that. Sorry to burst your bubble, but
you're wrong.
another conspiracy theory thrown at us was that Matt Busby orchestrated the Munich plane crash because the squad knew he was a paedophile. On this theory, I googled it and I couldn't find anything. So there's no evidence for this. I am really sorry. I tried. If you've got anything, I think it was Freddie that sent it him.
Like Freddie.
Sadiq.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
It'd be, of course. It'd be
So,
Freddie, for fuck's sake.
So if you've got anything, shout me. And
It
we'll
might
put
be
it
a
in.
nonce, though. You never know.
Never know.
Could have been nonce.
Could have been.
Um,
Man United, you're fair.
and that just about wraps it up, gents. So
I've had a lot of fun.
you've had a lot of
A
fun.
lot of fun.
You had a lot of fun with the paedophile.
Bloody hell. Okay, so thank you very much for listening. We hope you've enjoyed. If you have any more suggestions about conspiracy theories,
We would happily do another episode on this. 'cause
yeah,
Actually, a mate of mine said he would happily come along and red pill us at some point.
red pill.
Yeah, he said he's got a lot of red pills, so he's going to red pill us on this.
I don't know
It's
what
not-
that
it's
means.
What does that mean?
It's not a date rape.
You're going to rape
but
us?
Yeah.
It's a matrix. It's like the red pill makes you see the real world. So
Oh.
he says he's got loads of like
I've never seen The Matrix.
conspiracy theories
Yeah.
that he could do. No,
Okay.
it's Harry
Harry.
Doherty.
I know. Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Yeah. No. Do throw more conspiracy theories our way because we've had real good fun, and we'll
I'd
definitely.
happily unpack more.
Yeah.
Same.
We'll definitely do a few more episodes on this. We'll be back to our regular format next week. And until then, thank you very much for listening. We hope you've enjoyed. From me, Greg, Zach, and Adam,
Hello.
have a very good week. And we'll catch you next time.
Have a
See you
top week,
later.
people.